Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sam OG, and I wanted to talk to you about today something that I called. I've been thinking about this for a while, but it's something that I called the RPG pilgrimage. Let me explain what I mean by that. Like, when you get into this hobby, you're innocent. At the beginning, you're very innocent. You don't know what you want, you don't know what you like. You have a basic understanding of what tabletop RPG is, and you kind of go blind, So you go into groups with GMs you don't know, play with people you don't know. Sometimes you go into, different settings. You play in game stores, you play in convention, you play with strangers, or maybe you buy a book, you buy a core rule, you learn it, and you start your own group and you start GMing, or so many different ways to get into this hobby. It's a mess. It's a complete mess, and the RPG pilgrimage for me is that journey. Is that journey of chasing that dragon toward excellence, toward perfection, toward fun, toward finding yourself, finding what you want, finding what you like, finding that place where every time you play, it's a good time. Or at least, 99.9% of the time, it's a good time. And you surf that wave, right? And you reach that place where you are confident in yourself. Whenever you take the time in your life to sit down and play and study a game and learn rules, organize a game and sit down with people and play it, it's gonna be a good time. Now, for some people, they reach that easily, they reach that intuitively, they reach that fast. For so many different reasons. Maybe their fun is easy. They're easy on the fun. Maybe they don't need much. Maybe they got lucky and they find what they wanted, what they needed, early in the journey, in the pilgrimage. For some other people, it's a lifetime, right? And you have all that spectrum. You have some people who are constantly frustrated in this hobby, and they are still frustrated to this day, right? I was listening today to it's a good example. I'm gonna go off my mind. I was listening to Gentleman Gamer recently talking about RPG horror stories. This guy has been playing for a very long time, and he still has some horror stories in his recent days to talk about. You still have these situations where it's not working well. So it is a journey. It is a pilgrimage. So that's what I mean by RPG pilgrimage. And today, I wanted to talk about my journey, my pilgrimage, like how I started. I feel like I need it for myself to make some kind of a synthesis, just a big portrait of what I've been through in this hobby, where I'm at right now, because I'm in a specific spot right now that it's worth talking about, at least sharing with you guys. The comments have been good since I've been making videos recently. The people who comment is super relevant. It's very interesting. So yeah, I just want to show a little bit of where I come from. So I started in 2011 And the big game in 2011 was Pathfinder. Pathfinder was the big thing, the first edition. It was a response to 3.5, and a lot of people went from 3.5 to Pathfinder, and then the fourth edition D&D came out. Also, so I started with Pathfinder. I never owned it. I played a few sessions with one of my friends who introduced me. He was a GM. He introduced me to the hobby with Pathfinder, and I had fun. I liked it. I didn't know better, right? I didn't know better. So I was like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I want some more. But then I moved, and I ended up alone in a new city, not knowing anybody, and started vlogging to spend the time, meet some people online, and vlog about RPG, talking about it, asking questions, trying to learn stuff. I was having some frustration in my sessions, the Pathfinder sessions, and then I bought my first game. It was 20th anniversary, 4th edition Shadowrun, and since I was, I had the ambition of becoming a GM. I got myself the runner's toolkit with it, the big box with all the stuff. And I started prepping. And I started studying. And this game is demanding. I mean, in terms of rules, Shadowrun is well known. 4th edition is respectful in terms of rules. And there was a lot of content. It was the 20th anniversary, so there was a lot of content in the game. So I studied and read and made a lot of video about Shadowrun, and I tried to form a group. I managed to meet some people in the city. I went into game stores. I asked people, "You want to play my game? I'm gonna run Shadowrun," and I managed to have a group of 4 people. I don't remember exactly, man. I went to a game store, a video game store near my place, got friend with the clerk. Clerk brought some friend at home. I met another guy on the street. He lived 2 blocks from myself. He was a Shadowrun veteran. No problem. And I started to GM. I was a prepper. I was a quantum ogre. I was a die fudger. I did everything. I fudged the dice. I rolled behind the screen. I fake rolls behind the screen. I faked rolls behind the screen, guys. I'm telling you. It was crazy. And I didn't like it. The game went so fast because the players were experienced gamers, experienced in the hobby, and I wasn't. And I was a GM, so I was completely out of my head. Like they were over my head. They were destroying my prep. They knew the world better than I. They were Shadowrun gamers. They knew the world better than I. They understood the world better than I. They knew the rules a little bit better than I as well. So they were schooling me, teaching me at the same time. They were just bypassing all the stuff that I was producing for them and everything. It became a race of who's gonna produce I always had to come back with something bigger. I remember one of the guy was a troll. He was an adept, and the guy is a really good gamer. He's good with optimization, and I put a Sasquatch. Sasquatch in this game is a powerful monster. It's a powerful awakened being, right? And he was on top of a tree, and he just fall on them. So I describe how the the Sasquatch grab the tree's branch and flips and do backflips and he's coming down the trees and he's gonna fall on them. And as I describe that, the Sasquatch is falling down. This is the ground. The Sasquatch is falling down to fall in front of them. And the adept narrates how he's punching the Sasquatch midair before he falls on the ground. One shot killed the Sasquatch midair before the Sasquatch touched the ground. True story. True story. And I was sure it was the big boss of the game. I was like, this is it. They're gonna have trouble with this guy. Yeah, that's what this game is about. So I was prepping a lot. You can tell by the book, like I had all these things, green ones here, yellow one there, kind of thing. Crazy. And then I was lost. Didn't know any better. Didn't know anything about RPG, and I met some people online in RuneSlinger. I started to understand a little bit more about the games. I'm like, and RuneSlinger start talking to me about games that has no levels in it, no classes, freeform magic systems, really cool design mechanism, and I'm like, what? Those games exist? And he's like, yeah, man, Ubiquity, check this out. And he talked to me about Desolation, a post-apocalyptic fantasy game. And this is the second game I bought, second game I own, Ubiquity. And this blew my mind because of the mechanics, because of completely different system. And I'm like, okay, so there's more out there. I start to understand there's more out there, because Shadowrun felt like Pathfinder somehow. It was crunchy, lots of rules, lots of mechanics, and you needed a lot of prep and everything. But with Desolation, it was completely different, because the system was lighter. The system was lighter. The goal of the game was different somehow. It was not about being more powerful or being more rich or raising the levels or whatever. It was, it was more about role play. So yeah, so Desolation and Ubiquity was my entry. And I'm not showing all the games I have, just a few stuff like that are important in the process of of my journey, the pilgrimage, or the RPG pilgrimage that I'm going through. And then, so I navigated vlogging and navigated in these traditional games, because one day, the same guy who introduced me to Pathfinder, the same guy who introduced me to RPG, came up to my place and gave me this. And he said, this is going to change everything. And we played that for 2 days. And I became completely obsessed with the indie games. The games that were more of like some kind of a reaction to the traditional games. The Forge, right? The bunch of designer who, like, I started to buy these games. Apocalypse World, Vincent Baker. Siron, Mick Baker. Or Ravachol, Dread. Small games. Very small games. It's games that are made to do a specific thing. A very specific thing. Smaller designs. Nothing compared to like the Shadowrun, the Pathfinder, or even the Desolation. Small games, and I was hooked. I was like, yo, okay, so because one of my big problem, and I mentioned that earlier, is that at that time is that my sessions were not even. Sometimes it was fun, sometimes it was shit. And I couldn't figure out why, and I couldn't manage to make my session fun all the time. And I was frustrated. So with these games, what I figured, the more indie games, the smaller games, is like these games guarantee me a certain kind of experience. They guarantee me a certain type of fun, and it works all the time. And it's easier to manage because they are well designed. And I started to become very critical of the more traditional games. What I called back then traditional games, you know, D&D, Traveler, World of Darkness, Shadowrun, Pathfinder, you know, the big names that has most of these games, they have similar character sheets that where you progress your character, get better, get stronger, and it's mostly about that kind of thing. With the resolution mechanic that is binary sometimes, and you know, I had this idea. Today I don't see that way at all. But back then, that was my take on it. So I went to PAX East and I saw the designer in person, talked with them, play some games, asked all sorts of questions, and they were all very into the smaller games, the indie games, right? And all of us, we all shared our frustration about the big games. The fact that the sessions are not consistent, people don't play these games the same. So you can have a group of Shadowrun that is very cool, and you have another one that is shit, and you don't understand why they are not similar. And most of these designers, what they said back then, it was that these games don't tell you how to use them. If you open Shadowrun, at the beginning, there's this description of what a role-playing game is, kind of thing. And there's a little, maybe one sentence or two somewhere, if you're lucky, that's gonna say, in Shadowrun, something like that. In Shadowrun, you play Shadowrunners who do runs for money in order to upgrade their lifestyles. That's what you do in Shadowrun. You're a runner. You do runs for money in order to improve your lifestyle. No matter what you want to do with your lifestyle. Some runner want to improve themselves with implants. Some runner wants to buy, starts company or whatever, buy stuff. They want to improve their lifestyle. Basically, that's what they want to do, and they do runs. It has to be said clearly, and then you find a way that what this game is about. And how is it about that? And what makes it fun? Like these questions are very important. Like, and so I didn't find it in these games, but in the smaller games, I was served. So I spent many years criticizing the older games, the trad, what I call so-called trad games, and then I started to hear about the OSR. And then I started to hear about different games, and I kind of like slowly start to come out of my shell of indie games and small games, because I started to have some problem with some of them. And I bought Mongoose Traveler, and World of Darkness. This one. This is a good game. This is a very, very interesting game. And Traveler Mongoose Edition is still so good. So Traveler is an old school game. It's an old game, but the Mongoose Edition is some kind of a modernization of it. And I run a campaign of 17 sessions with a bunch of players online on Google Hangout back then, and it was on my channel, 17 sessions of it, and I had a blast. I had a blast, and I was like, okay, Okay, I might be wrong. It's not the game. This is a big shift. It's not the games. It's not Shadowrun or Desolation or D&D. It's how you play them. Oh, okay, it's the social contract. Oh, okay, so if you manage to have a certain social contract, you can make these games shine. And then I started to, now I went back. So I went at the end of a spectrum, and now I started to come back. And so I bought World of Darkness. I started to buy some Mage the Ascension, Hunter the Vigil, some games from the 90s. And I started to buy these games that I felt that I could make them shine by my style of play, like the way I would use them. So I would play raw. I would not change the game. I would not change the rules. But I would make rules about behaviors, the way I want to play, like don't ask questions, no mother may I kind of thing, create your stuff, say yes all the time, stay in character most of the time, not using initiatives, all sorts of little. In this era of my pilgrimage at that time, I created a bunch of framework rules that could be applied to all games, just on the way I would use them. So I would still use them raw, play them by the rules, but I would use them a certain way. I would play them a certain way, and that would work for me. And so, I started exploring, and then I went into I bought this game, Genesis, and I went into the universal game engine approach, because I was like, okay, so if I can find a good system that do all genres, I can have like a lot of fun. I can have a lot of possibilities. And I started to I wanted at the time my library of games, because I'm not a collectioner. I don't want to buy all the games. I'm selective. It's very expensive. So I take my time, I do some research, and I select the game I want. And my rule is, I want a game to be able to do. I want a game for all genres. I want a cowboy game. I want a sci-fi game. I want a ninja game. I want a pirate game. I want a dark sci-fi game. I want a space opera game. I want a horror game. I wanted a game for all genre, and I wanted also to have maybe a couple choices of games by genre. Rules light, rules heavy, indie games versus more traditional games or whatever. So I started to build my library like that and cover all the genres. So I would never go out of a game to play in order to achieve that feel. Samurai, or I don't know, martial arts something, or you understand, fantasy, whatever. And so I started that journey, and I got myself Genesis in that time, because it could do everything. I started as well to I was talking to my friend online, asking them, hey, do you know a good? I was like, do you know a good Western game? There's not a whole lot of Western game, and everybody's talk about Boot Hill. So I went and I bought myself Boot Hill from TSR. Boot Hill is old school. Now, I have the 3rd edition from the 90s, the early 90s, but Boot Hill is one of the oldest. And I'm telling you, that was a revelation. This is one of my favorite games. It might be my favorite game. It's just so good. It's old. It's poorly written. Sometimes the rules are hard to understand. It's not well laid out, but it doesn't matter. It's gold. It's gold. What it does, the ambiance it creates, and it's not even forcing it. It's not a big game full of stuff. It's just, it grabs you. It's just good. So I started to dig old school games. I started to go down the old school path. The old TSR games, the old what's the name? Fantasy Unlimited games. And also I discovered that during that period, I discovered the OSR, and I decided to go dig what old school essentials. I wanted to go dig what the first D&D was. I was mind blown. I was completely mind blown. This is one of my favorite games as well. Old School Essentials and Boot Hill. When I got these games and I got to play these games, it was a revelation for me. I was like, okay, so it's not about the newest edition. It's not about if it's indie or if it's traditional or if it's story game or if it's not about that. It's about a specific design that will give you what you need and what you want to do a specific thing that you are craving in that moment. And when you start to understand that, your tastes and cravings and stuff that you want change and evolve, and sometimes you go back to some things, and sometimes you move away from it for a while, and then you come back later, and then you choose, and then you hate something for this, you spin on it and for years, and then eventually you have a new eye on it, and then you start playing it, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't see that. That's my pilgrimage. That's my journey. And when I got Old School Essentials and I played and I read it, I was so passionate. I was like, okay, this is gonna be my new fantasy game now, because I couldn't stand Burning Wheel anymore. I got burned out. I played too much. That's another thing I learned in my pilgrimage. Don't play a game too much. Don't burn it. Don't ruin it. And I was like, okay, so D&D is not what I thought it was. D&D is not that get the level, get more powerful, get the gold, get the dungeon, get the level, get more powerful, get the gold. No, it's a survival game. The first edition is a survival game. It's a game about wits. It's about strategy, wits. There's many ways to make XP. It's not just about fighting. And yeah, it was a big revelation. So I was like, okay, I started to understand. Then started to dig into the OSR. Got myself involved in, you can see it, Morgborg, Pirate Borg, some of the board games, Death in Space. Started DCC, I have Dungeon Crawl Classics. Started to go into these games, and eventually I liked it. It was fun, but I was not the OSR. I like Old School Essential is special. It's not something like Morgborg or Pirate Borg but I'm not. It's not blowing my mind like some other games can do. They're fun. They're They're small, they're easy to learn, they have potential in it, they are stylish and stuff and everything. It's cool. It's very cool, and I like myself some of SR games, but yeah, it is what it is. It's not. It doesn't blow my mind like, for example, recently, basic role playing BRP, and there's a story behind that. So Runeslinger and Ivan Mike and Brian Gregory and some other people started a game of Call of Cthulhu. And interestingly enough, Runeslinger decided to use, I think it's 4th edition or 3rd edition. Not the latest one, an older one, and a specific one. Not the first, not the second, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th. And I asked him, why? Why that one? And he's like, because that one is special. Because that one does, what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, let's see. And I had one of the best experiences of roleplay ever. Super immersive, easy to learn, very deep as the potentiality of the D100 system. I was, wow, okay, this is amazing. I was new to this system. So I decided to buy BRP. After playing with them, I fell in love with the system. I said, I'm gonna buy BRP, basic role playing game, because I'm gonna be able to do all genre with it, like Genesis. Because Genesis I was not impressed by Genesis. It's fun. I will play again sometimes, but I was not impressed. But BRP did blow my mind. BRP blew my mind, just like Burning Wheel did. It's my recent discovery. I have a big game I'm running right now with some friends, and we're having a blast. And yeah, so now what you see is BRP is a 40-year-old game, and it's a game that is very binary in its resolution. You got it or you don't. And it's quick and it's powerful. It's in the moment. It doesn't take a lot of room in the narration. It allows you to stay in the role play and everything. And it's just, it's amazing. I'm gonna have to do some more video about BRP in the near future to tell you more about it. But this is where I'm at right now in my pilgrimage journey. And I'm digging now into the old school. Today, I bought some games. I decided to go down Fantasy Unlimited and got myself Privateer and Gentleman, got myself Flashing Blades, got myself Aftermath. I recently got Bushido, and these old games from the early 80s, they're special. They're very special. And it's interesting. Look at this. If you look at my journey, my pilgrimage, at one point, I was into very, very rule light games. And I was praising them like it was the best revolution in the hobby. But nowadays, I'm going back to the crunchy. I want the simulation. I want the tables. I want the rules to be challenging, engaging. And I don't know why. It's just, there is something about that era in the hobby. The design, the way they was producing the design, some of these designer at Fantasy Unlimited, and at TSR during that period, Top Secret, Gangbusters, Boot Hill, they they designed games, the way they were designing games back then create a specific kind of experience. It's hard to describe. It allows for a lot of roleplay. It's easy to roleplay with these games. When I mean roleplay, I mean stay in character, talk in character, act in character, make decisions in character. Not doing meta talk, not talking, not doing PC talk, but doing not doing player talk, but doing character talk, kind of thing. That's what I mean by roleplay. And they are crunchy, but they are kind of simple at the same time. It's just, I don't know how to say that better than that, but I find they simulate well the genre they try to simulate. I think the subsystems that they have, and the way they put attention on some aspect of the rules and some aspect of the genre with those rules allow for some good emulation, good simulation of the genre. So yeah, that's where I'm at right nowadays. So I'm going back to the crunchy, going back to the old school a lot, and that's what I want to play. That's the kind of game I want to play nowadays. And yeah, so you see, that's been long enough. But the RPG pilgrimage. Now I want to reflect back on you guys. If you've listened to all this and you've reached that 37-minute, what's your pilgrimage? I said that earlier, that I thought about this a lot, and I think that my journey, my kind of pilgrimage, my RPG pilgrimage, I think it might be the same for a lot of people. And I think it's kind of normal. It's like you start by something, that thing creates some frustration, so you want to go to the opposite, naturally, kind of thing. The other end of the spectrum. Then now there you make some test, emancipate. Then you see the end of it, and you're like, you start to be disappointed again. So you look back on what you've got, and you kind of miss some of these things. So you come back and you like a beaten dog, and you discover gems, and you're like, oh, and you have more experience now. So you start to understand a little bit more how it works, and so you manage to play these games well now, where you were not able before, kind of thing. And then your taste starts to get better, and now you understand a little bit better. You get more experience, so the fun factor is elevated. And I think it might be a very similar journey for a lot of people. So I'm asking you guys, tell me more about your RPG pilgrimage. Have you ever think about it? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever look back and see like how your taste change over time? I'd like to hear about it, so let me know. All right, talk to you soon.